I first interviewed Lindsey Richter 5 years ago, and that interview has become one of my most popular podcast episodes ever. Just like anybody who has ever been to one of Lindsay's Ladies All Ride clinics, everybody who listened to that interview immediately fell in love with Lindsay. So obviously, I was super excited to have her back a second time. Lindsay is now 50 years old and more badass than ever. She's still leading the Ladies All Ride camps, helping other women develop the same confident, strong energy that she embodies. In this interview, we talk about mountain biking as we age, but even if you are not over 40 like me or 50 like Lindsay, you'll still enjoy this episode. It's for anybody who's ever ridden a mountain bike or would like to get on a mountain bike. Lindsay shares her advice for women who are brand new to the sport, how we can all overcome mental hurdles, why it's so important to build community, and so much more. Today, I would like to talk about women at a wide range of skill levels. But to start out with, I get so many messages on Instagram in particular for women who see me posting mountain bike videos and they are coming from a road background or a gravel background and they would really like to get into mountain biking but find it very intimidating and don't really know how to get started. What advice would you have for those women?
I would say just start. You've got to start somewhere. And I think embracing the fear, embracing the challenge, embracing the intimidation factor, that's all part of growth in life. At our camps, we relate mountain biking to life a lot because we
Mhm.
want people to see life isn't easy. We go through things in life that challenge us, that test us. That's what I love so much about mountain biking is it can be a little intimidating and it shows us what we're capable of. I totally understand it going from road where it's smooth, but still we have cars are the danger on the road, right? And crashing on the road is pretty aggressive. And then a lot of people may be deciding, hey, I don't want to road ride anymore. I'm afraid of cars. Now we have all these distractions with our phones. Maybe I'll try gravel riding, which is basically a road type bike going off road onto fire roads and gravel roads and just back roads, basically, which is a wider mountain bike trail. I think the difference is mountain bike trails are usually narrow. They're single track. They can go up into rocks and up into the mountains in a different way, but it all relates. So if you're finding the courage to get on a gravel bike where the terrain can be rough and uneven and bumpy, and you have to learn how to have bike handling skills, that translates really nicely into mountain biking skills. So you're already partway there. And then taking a skills camp, of course, will help alleviate a lot of those fears because at our Ladies All Right camps, we address all this. We understand what it feels like to feel fear. And I think a lot of people don't actually address the specifics of what they're afraid of. If someone sees a rock roll and they say, oh, I don't want to do that, I'm scared of that, I do ask them to take a step back and ask yourself, what exactly are you afraid of happening?
Mm.
Well, I don't want to go over the bars. I don't want to break my arm. I don't want to fall, obviously. Well, let's break down the steps that will help us not do the thing we're scared of and keep our minds focused on what needs to happen to get
Mm.
through. And, again, a lot like life, where focus on the positive, focus on what needs to happen to move forward. And that helps alleviate some of the fear and keeps the mind and the body focused on what I need to do rather than what I'm afraid of.
What does a ladies all ride clinic look like?
Oh, a ladies all right camp is a whole weekend experience. We have a evening happy hour registration kind of meet and greet the night before, usually at a host shop where we have beer and non-alcoholic drinks and food, and people can make their nameplates, try on our demo gear, get their demo bikes if they're demoing a bike, have their own bikes, make sure they're tuned and set up for them. Then the following day, we try to make it a really inclusive event type of experience where you're not just coming there to learn skills on the bike. Of course, that's the main
Mm.
goal, but you're also learning about products in the industry, what clothing we wear, how to work on your bike, how to change a flat tire, how to set up your suspension. It's really an immersive experience that starts with a welcome speech because I want everyone to feel relaxed. I make sure that I say things like, comparison is the thief of joy. We don't compare ourselves to others here. We're all in this together. All walks of life are welcome here. I didn't feel like I belonged in a lot of women's spaces growing up, and more specifically in my 20s. Got kicked out of my sorority. I was on the reality TV show Survivor, got voted off. I moved to LA, got rejected all the time. And that was hard for a 20-year-old. So we really wanted to create a space where everyone feels like they belong. And that's because of the two wheels, or the bike, that brings us all together. So it's a celebration of the joy that bikes can bring into our lives. It's a support system to help you get over fears and learn how to manage the bike in changing terrain. It's a place to connect with community and like-minded people. It's really just an experience to celebrate bikes, help you dial in your skills, and hopefully make new friends to keep your mountain biking life going forever.
What are some of the biggest mental hurdles that you see women struggling with? Are there certain stories that you see over and over again?
Yeah, it's actually my favorite part of the job is the connection that us as coaches feel with these women. It's very vulnerable to learn mountain biking, especially in front of a group of people you might not know. Our groups are small. There's only 7 students in each group with 2 coaches. So we get to see a lot of depth in these women, the fear that comes up of getting hurt. No one has time to get hurt. And a lot of people will say that, I don't have time to get hurt. I'm a
Mm.
surgeon or a PT, or I use my hands. And we understand that better than anyone. I'm a
Mhm.
mountain bike coach. I can't get hurt, or I can't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So we're working through a lot of fears. And like I said earlier, really identifying specifics in fear. I think a lot of times when we get scared of something, we're not actually fully aware of what we're afraid of. We have a feeling and it just feels scary. So we really help women identify, where's this fear coming from. I see the hurdles of, not only not wanting to get hurt, but the vulnerability of trying something when people are watching you, and feeling embarrassed, having these emotions come up, and learning how to turn those emotions into logic. I think that it's been the most powerful thing for me with mental health. I struggled with depression for a lot of my young adult life, and I was shamed for it in college. Oh, you have nothing to be sad about, were some of the comments I got, which made me feel like something was wrong with me.
Mhm.
So I see a lot of women who have these self-limiting beliefs about themselves. I can't do that. I'm not capable of that.
Mhm.
And it's our jobs to get them to trust us enough that we know what we're doing to guide you, so that you can ultimately trust in yourself and your own capabilities. So as coaches, it's our job to deal with the psychological and emotional components that come up for women in mountain biking, because none of us want to get hurt. And it is
Right.
a sport that adds a little element of danger to our lives. But if you go through the process and progression that it takes to become a solid mountain biker, you don't have to crash. It doesn't have to be a sport you're crashing in. People ask me, what's the worst injury you've ever had on a mountain bike? And I'll say, well, I've had stitches in my
Mhm.
leg when I tipped over, stuck in my clips. But my worst injury in life is I broke my foot dancing. That is my only broken bone I've ever had, knock on wood. Um, but you don't have to get hurt. You can take it day by day and take it slow and learn to progress in this sport in a way that feels safe and comfortable. And you don't have to crash.
Yeah. People always ask me about my worst mountain bike crash, and I actually don't really have one. I did have in a race, I like cut open my lip once. But I haven't had any bad mountain bike crashes. My worst bike crash was just on the green belt, riding my commuter bike, not paying attention to where I was going. So, I always encourage people, if you're brave enough to do that, you can be brave enough to mountain bike too, because that's equally dangerous.
Absolutely. I mean, I trip and fall all the time, like hiking my dog.
Yes. How do you think, or do you think, that confidence gained on the mountain bike translates to life outside of that?
Oh, it's huge. Like I said before, with mental health, my bike my bike taught me how to think. You can't be thinking in the negative. You can't be thinking, I don't want to hit that tree. I don't want to hit that rock, and then stare at the thing you don't want to hit. So much like life. You've got
Mm,
to look and think in the positive.
mm,
I'm going there. I'm going there. I don't need to be thinking about the things I don't want to hit. I need to be thinking about what do I need to do to keep my wheels rolling forward. I need to look ahead and I need to think I'm going there and what does it take to get there.
mm.
So the fact that mountain biking sort of forces you, because literally you're going to go where you look. And it's funny because I always say the bike doesn't have a brain or eyes, but it knows where you're looking and it's going to go there. And so translate that into life. When people learn to think in a way that keeps the wheels moving forward, to think in a way that helps them be successful on the bike, and then there's these measurable results. I didn't ride that rock garden before. Now I ride it. Like that is so measurable. You can feel that in your soul. And then if you have an issue in life that's hard, that's getting you down, you have that to tap into. Wait a minute. I just faced a fear. I went through the process to learn how to get through something and I did it. So I am capable of doing hard things. And
Mhm.
that's a big message that we have, especially as a 50 something now. And we get a lot of 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds at our camps, and they will admit, I do this because it's hard. I do this because it challenges me. And I just watched my mom die of Alzheimer's.
Mm,
And while that was a gnarly, long journey, it was really seeing my dad, who never really got out of his comfort zone. He had a wife who did everything for the
mm,
family. She took care of everything. And when she got to a point where she couldn't do anything anymore and the roles were reversed, I watched how traumatizing that was for him, because I sort of stepped back and was like, you've had the same job since 1974. You've played the same sports. You haven't actually put yourself in a position to get uncomfortable and
mm,
do something that's really hard that you might not be that good at the beginning. And so I find that it's really important, especially for women, to put ourselves in positions of challenge, to feel that burn in the legs when we're climbing a hill, to feel that questioning of, do I want to quit? Do I want to give up? This is so hard. And then making the decision to push through. The reward that comes with that is immeasurable. And to be able to pull from that in life when you're going through a hard time, like, wait, I just climbed 2,000 feet on my bike
mhm,
and I thought I was going to explode and I didn't.
mhm.
I can pull from that and remind myself that I'm capable of doing hard things.
1,000%. What's something hard that you've done recently?
Oh, geez. Well, at Crankworks, the big mountain bike festival up in Whistler, SRAM, one of my longtime sponsors, hosts this all-day Sufferfest ride. And it's a way for them to have athletes and ambassadors and employees of different brands to all come together and pretty much suffer together. They put together this ride where you ride all around Whistler. And if you've ever ridden in Whistler, the trails on the downhill park are challenging enough, but they're also really well built for all levels of riders. But the cross country trails in the valley that are just raw and rugged are so hard.
Mm.
And so I kind of trained for it because I bonked last year and I didn't finish it. And I felt so bad, but it's like 6,000 feet of climbing, almost 10,000 feet of descending. And basically, you're climbing up these really steep, long climbs, sweating your face off. And then you have to go down a double black diamond. And then you get on the chair and go all the way to the top and do top of the world all the way down into the town of Function Junction, and then climb from there to another double black diamond. And we were on our bikes for 12 hours. And on that last leg, I didn't want to go. I stopped at the SRAM booth to refuel. And you're on teams, and some of my teams from Giant Live, my bike sponsor, were like, we're doing it. We're going to finish this. And it was 6 o'clock at night. We started at 8 in the morning, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to be disappointed in myself if I don't finish, and proud of myself, even if I don't make it to the top, but I give it my all. And I ended up making it to the top. I got this second wind. A few in my team dropped out halfway up the climb because they bonked. And bonking is no joke. You can't move if you bonk. Everything shuts down.
Yep.
And so, I got to the top, and the person I rode up with, he's 55. I'm almost 51. And then another one of my teammates is 52. And we're standing up there looking at all these, 20 something shirtless guys. They're all high fiving and smashing beers. And we're like in our little circle of like over 50 over here. And we freaking did that. And I walked away so proud. I feel like a lot of my sponsors were like, nice job, nice job. And yeah, it's again that feeling of accomplishment, of measurable results. I didn't finish last year because I bumped. This year I finished. I'm a year older. Like, what does that say about us? That we can get better with age. We can
Mhm.
keep doing things that challenge us. And man, it feels good to persevere and say, you just make the choice. I'm freaking doing this and I'm not
Yeah.
giving up.
How has mountain biking changed for you with age, or has it?
Yeah, I almost feel like I find more joy in it as I get older because of just that feeling of accomplishment. I think as you mature, you have more knowledge base, right? More experiences under your
Mhm.
belt. And I think I'm finding a deeper appreciation for what my body can do.
Mhm.
I'm finding a deeper appreciation for the connections that I have when I bike. There's nothing like going out with a group of women and suffering and sweating and feeling pain and then doing it and then getting to the top and celebrating. So I'm finding I'm a stronger rider. I'm a more skilled rider. I'm smoother because I practice all the time. So I think the more I have ridden a mountain bike and the better I get at it, the prouder I feel to be a mountain biker. And I love that. I was worried that I might burn out because I do it so much. And I find that it just keeps getting better and I just keep getting more stoked on it.
Yeah, I love that. My mom just turned 75. She's still mountain biking. She's actually got an e-bike so she could go further and
Awesome.
longer with me. Um, and I think it's really encouraging because her mom never was able to do such a thing, right? And now we're seeing a few women who are 75 still doing these kinds of things. But I think our generation will see more and more. I think our daughters will do more and more. And I think that we just haven't really gotten to see yet what women are capable of at an older age. And the more we see it, I think the more it will become a thing.
Well, and that's what's so cool, I think,
Yeah.
about this sport, and especially about what I get to do. Because I think I was just telling you earlier, we had a 74-year-old at one of our Ben camps recently, and that's about the top of the age bracket, 74, 75, that who we've experienced coming to our camps. And she was so pumped on bikes. And she said it straight up. I do this because it's hard. I do this because it pushes me. It makes me stronger. She knows her limits. She mellows out on the technical stuff. She knows what she needs to walk. But that's the beauty of this sport is we can choose to make it whatever we want. We don't have to go ride big gnarly technical lines with tons of exposure. We can go ride greens until we're 100. And that's what I love about Bend, Oregon, where I'm from, is because sometimes I'm like, oh, Bend, I'm so lucky to get out of there. Our trails are kind of smooth and pedally. But you know what? I'm going to be able to ride those trails when I'm 90,
Yeah.
because they're built for all levels of riders. So I just think it's so cool to see aging being redefined by these older women who, because I'm going through this like, oh geez, I'm 50, but then I laugh when someone sends us an email and says, I'm really nervous about coming to your camp, I'm just getting into mountain biking, I'm kind of old, I'm 42. And you're like, no, look at us, we're in our
Yeah.
50s and we're still progressing, and there's women in their 60s and 70s. So I'm really trying to show that in my marketing, all ages, making sure people really can see like we're not our parents. When they turned 40, they had black balloons and it was all about, oh, over the hill, you're dying now, you're
Right, right.
40.
40.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Remember that was over the
Yeah.
hill. It's like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't that have at least been 50? 40, really? And I feel stronger than ever at
Agreed.
51,
Yeah.
so I think that the more we see it, the more we believe it, and the more it's going to keep happening.
Yes. Before we started recording, you were talking about going to Crankworks and feeling some imposter syndrome before you got there. which I think is really powerful because if even Lindsey Richter feels imposter syndrome, then it makes sense that the rest of us do. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I was on the plane and I just kind of got a little depressed and thought, what am I doing going to Crankworks? I've been going to this event for 21 years. I started in my late 20s, and it attracts a lot of younger people. The
Yeah.
main events are young riders doing crazy tricks on their bikes. So, the women who are coming to Crankworks now and competing in the slope style are just unreal. It makes me feel like I'm not that cool. I'm not going to do those huge jumps ever. And that's cool. um, and so I went in a little nervous, just kind of like, what am I doing here? And then I remembered that I was coming to Crankworks before I saw a lot of women. I was putting myself on the chairlift in a full like stormtrooper padded outfit to go try downhilling. And I was married to a pro rider, and him and all the rest of his teammates and the rest of the pro field were out training. And so I was kind of alone. And I would ask some of the girlfriends, why do you want to ride? I'll take you. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll take you. And they weren't that interested in riding. And so just stepping back, sort of zooming out, I was standing at the SRAM booth, which is up high, and you can look down at where people are getting on the chairlift. And the amount of women I saw mixed in with the guys. And then Liv, my bike sponsor, shuts down a famous trail called A-Line, which is a big jump trail. It's a really intimidating trail. It's got big jumps. A lot of times, if there's guys on there who are really fast and good, they tend to like pass you in the
Mhm.
air or come up behind you and you can hear them coming. And the jumps require a little bit of speed. So if you slow down, you're not going to make it. And so Liv shuts down A-Line, and we've been doing this for 10 years. And I get the pleasure of hosting the event and really bringing all these women together to just celebrate this trail and riding together and lifting each other up. And I saw moms and daughters. I rode with a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old whose moms were also there. And I thought, you're here riding A-Line with your mom?
Isn't that
That,
cool?
wow. Like if I had that kind of connection with my mom growing up, what a different connection. It's hard, it's scary, it's vulnerable, and you're doing this together. And at the end of the day, you're all amped up. Did you hit the rock drop? I hit the rock drop. Like you're bonding with your mom on such a different level. And I saw a lot of women my age or even older coming out to ride A-Line. And I was like, oh, I'm okay. With imposter syndrome, I think we need to take a step back, again, zoom out on the bigger picture. And just because I'm 51 doesn't mean I don't still have a voice in an industry that I fought so hard to have a voice in. I really was one of those early mountain bikers in the 90s who couldn't find my crew of women to ride with. And the more I asked people why they didn't ride, the more I understood about the fear involved with getting into this sport. And so I think that imposter syndrome is another form of fear that I'm not relevant, fear that I'm not as cool as what's happening in the industry these days. I'm not going to flip with my bike, but I'll show you how to do the A-Line rock drop, which is a big feature. And wait, I'm 51 and I'm showing someone how to do the A-Line rock drop. What you just sometimes have to go back to the why. Why do I do this? I do this because I want to be a voice for women. I do this because I want to show women, just like we talked about, that you can be in your 50s and still be hitting the A-Line rock drop and hosting an event that brings a bunch of women together.
Yeah.
So I sometimes have to just remind myself of my why. I do this because I feel very strongly that this sport can change people's lives. It can actually totally change the direction of your life. If I have a friend who just got out of a really sad abusive situation, and she's like, I don't know how to start my life over. I've been with this guy for so long, and I don't have a community of people. And my first thought was, come to one of our mountain bike camps and just see what this mountain bike community could do for you. And that weekend changed her life. She's like, I met people who were super cool. We were all scared together. We were all in it together, supporting each other. What other situation in life as an adult do you get cheered on? Like, yeah, send that
Yeah.
email. You got it. You got it. Like, you're
Yeah.
being cheered on. You're being told, you got this, girl. Come on, you got it. Face your fear. Get over that rock. Like she was just like, this is an environment I've never experienced. I want this in my life. And it's instant friendships too. You can go to any community. I could come visit you in Boise and say, hey, I'm coming to Boise, and I will have a friend to ride
Mhm.
with. You will show me the trails. You might include a few other people. I'll make some new friends. That is a huge reason to get into
Yes.
this sport.
Yes, I agree. Of anything I've ever done in my life, I've found more of a community in mountain biking than elsewhere. I've always been really introverted and had trouble making girlfriends. And with the biking, I show up at any bike event. I always feel like it's a place I'm welcome, that I fit in. And yeah, I just think that spending the time to develop those friendships and to find your bike community is so important.
And so special.
Yes.
It's a different kind of connecting than going out for happy hour, you
Hmm.
know. It's I feel like when I'm telling someone about the mountain bike lifestyle, like my friend who hadn't experienced it before, I tell them to really think about what's important in life. And what's important to many of us, I hope, is being staying active, getting outside to breathe fresh air, having friends we can connect with, right? Exercise, mental health, physical health. Mountain biking does all that. I
Yes.
remember being in advertising back in the 90s, and I would get up and walk my dog before work, go to spin class at lunch to get my workout in, then meet up with my friends for happy hour, which I'm not a big drinker, so that wasn't super exciting
Mhm.
for me. And then when I started getting into mountain biking, I'm like, this is all in one experience. I'm outside, I'm getting fresh air, I'm getting fit, I'm connecting with people, I'm meeting up with friends, I'm working on my emotional health and my physical health, all because of a bike,
Yeah.
all because of a bike.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What should our end goal be with skills progression and development? You mentioned earlier seeing all these young kids at Crankworks doing crazy flips, and my 13-year-old son just learned how to backflip his bike, and he does all these amazing things, and I'm feel like I will never get there. Am I a real mountain biker because I can't do all of these things? What should our end goal be? Is it just learning to be safe on the bike? Is it what is that?
I love that because it's so what's happening right
Yeah,
now.
right.
People are seeing these incredible moves on a bike and wondering if mountain biking is for them. And rewind back to when I first started trying to get my Ladies All Ride skills camps sponsored. I was going to the bike industry saying, I think there needs to be an event series for women that's education based, because the only way I was able to find other people to ride with and connect with was by going to races. And over time, I didn't want to compete anymore. I just wanted to find friends to ride with. And that's really why I started Ladies All Ride. Ladies should all ride with
Yeah.
me. And so I can find friends. If you build it, they will come, you know? And I have learned throughout my years of doing this that there is no end goal.
Mm.
It's whatever you want to make of it. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to flip whip your bike to be cool. Just being a mountain biker and riding a bike on mountains, on off road trails, that's pretty cool. To see a 70-year-old riding a mountain bike, my first thought is, oh, she is awesome. Even if she's riding green trails,
Yes.
she's out on a mountain
Yeah.
bike. So we don't need to have any big goals. I feel like you can create goals for yourself. Oh, oh, we're back.
We're back.
it's,
So this is
it's
the single
glitchy.
worst experience I've had in a long
I'm
time.
sorry. I sometimes the internet just drops out and then it comes back on. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
the
Well,
last
we're
thing I
still
heard
recording.
was you
Yeah.
seeing a 70-year-old riding a green trail.
Yeah. I don't think that we have to have any big end goals. And what I love so much about mountain biking is I don't think any of us are going to perfect it. You see the best pros in the world still crashing sometimes, and crashing and not even getting hurt. You can crash and not get hurt on a bike. You may get a little bloody every now and then, but it doesn't have to be super gnarly. And I think what is happening in the industry right now, like I said, when I go back in time and I was begging these sponsors to help me create a series of events that were education based, I was up against Red Bull Rampage. It was just getting started in like
Mm,
2002, 2003. And that's about when I started seeing the need for women's events. And the sponsors would be like, gosh, we're putting a lot of money into Red Bull Rampage right now. It's getting on TV. Well, then you'd look at the advertising and the marketing around mountain biking, and it progressed from a lot of footage of racing, a lot of
mhm,
photos. Back in the day before the internet, we had magazines, and
mhm,
the covers of the magazines were like either a racer doing
mhm.
something gnarly and looking gnarly, or now we've got Rampage and people are jumping these like canyon gaps. Like,
Right,
oh, yeah, that totally makes a group of women go, that's a sport I want to get
right,
into. And parents saying, yeah, yeah, I want my kid to get into mountain
right.
biking. I felt like we went through this era of false advertising. Like that is extreme. And we are now keeping mountain biking on this edge of being an extreme sport.
Mhm,
And it doesn't have to
mhm,
be. So I feel like it became my mission to show mountain biking and be a voice for mountain biking from a different perspective,
yeah,
from that perspective of just riding a mountain bike is cool. Just getting up that climb that was hard for you last week that you got up this week is cool. So you can set your own progressions, you can set your own goals and be super proud of whatever that is. Just the fact that you ride a mountain bike is enough.
yeah. You mentioned going to Whistler and seeing all these women where you used to not see any. So obviously we've come a long ways, but we're still not 50% of the sport. What do you think needs to happen to get us closer to that 50%? And what can you and I and anybody listening who loves mountain biking be doing to help that?
Well, I love what you're doing. You are
Thank
very
you.
real.
Same.
And thank you. I think we're both very open about our struggles and how we persevered and our why we do this sport. So I think continuing to have these voices and these humans out there speaking on behalf of the sport, being real and vulnerable about our struggles and how we overcame them, having these conversations that we don't have to be gnarly, we don't have to ride double black diamond trails and hit huge jumps to call ourselves mountain
Mhm.
bikers. I just think continuing to give women a voice around the sport who have experience in it. I think that's kind of the cool thing about where we are now is people like you and I saw a need to speak up about what mountain biking can do for us because we've had our own experience of it changing our lives. You becoming less of an introvert and finding your people and
Mhm.
finding a way to be a little more extroverted and surround yourself with like-minded people. That's, I think, what's so beautiful about this sport. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. Sure, there's a barrier to entry when the sport can be a little expensive at first. I find that
Yeah.
hard. Like sometimes I get embarrassed, like, oh, new bike day. It was given to me because I'm sponsored. And yes, it's a $10,000 bike.
Mhm.
You don't have to buy a bike that expensive.
Mhm.
They have lots of bikes out there that have a range of prices. So just being that voice, hearing more women speaking up about their experiences, much like perimenopause and aging, we're talking about it now, which I think is making everyone feel like they're not alone in this aging journey. So
Yeah.
by us being voices for the sport and talking about it, that's just going to continue to help the younger generation see themselves in us and see, oh, wow, this is actually, maybe they're a soccer player and their team sports are over now. What's next for me? And that's kind of what happened to me is I didn't know how to get my fitness back after college because I didn't have organized sports. And we're of that generation in the 90s where that's all that we were exposed to. Now the younger generation is being exposed with NICA and these mountain bike
Mhm.
leagues to this sport as not only a sport, but a lifestyle.
Mhm.
So continuing to promote the sport as a lifestyle, something you can do forever, something you can do with your friends, something you can travel to go do because all the trails around this world are very different. There's so many positives around this sport that if we continue to be a voice for it, more people are going to hear it, and hopefully more women are going to join us in this adventure.
I've got three final questions for you, but before I
Okay.
do that, what have I not asked you that you would still like women listening to know?
Oh, I don't know. I just think seeing the moms and daughters and the older women who a lot of them are grandmas. So now we're talking moms, daughters, and grandmas riding together is so inspiring. And I just want that for more people. I want more women to know that this lifestyle exists for you. And all it requires is for you to get a bike and get into biking. We were talking about the gravel
Mhm.
experience, right? People moving from road biking is very attainable. It's like I can get a road bike, I can get on it in my garage and ride out my front door and go around the roads. We're also finding that drivers are more distracted these days and people are getting hit on road bikes. So maybe they're now turning to gravel riding, which is off roading on a drop barred bike, which could also lead to mountain biking. We
Mhm.
host a gravel experience at our mountain bike camps where we have a couple groups who are gravel riders because the skills translate. Learning how to deal with ruts and roots and bumpy rocks and rocks that move around. That's all the same things we learn on a mountain bike. So I think we're hoping to be not only a gateway for road riders to get off the road, but then a gateway for gravel riders to see, oh, there's another level that I can go to, which is mountain
Mhm.
biking, which just has narrower trails and maybe a little more technical features. So just kind of wanting women to know that there's all these different ways you can get on a bike, and that should be really exciting, that it doesn't have to just be one discipline that you do on a bike. It can be a lot.
If someone wants to come to a ladies all ride camp, what do you still have remaining this year in 2025? And if somebody, those dates don't work, people have missed all of 2025, when in 2026 should they start paying attention to see the release dates for next year?
Yeah, we have two camps left this season. One is next weekend down in Southwest Colorado at a place called Zuma Bike Ranch, and that's exciting because it's a new venue and lovely people who own this ranch who have built all these skills features around their property. So that's fun. We love working with private landowners. And then we have our Bentonville, Arkansas camp is our finale this year because we used to do it in the spring. We're just trying to mix things up. And Bentonville, Arkansas, if people haven't experienced it, it's Disneyland for mountain
Mhm.
bikers and such an awesome place to learn. And as a coach, it's all right there. It's crazy how they've turned this town into a mountain biking mecca. And I wouldn't even call it mountain biking or call it hill biking.
Yeah.
It's like hills, but there's like 10,000 trails on all these hills. You want to go do jumps? We got jumps. You want to go do some techie ups and techie downs? We got that. Corners, tons of corners. And you get on this bike path and you ride from trail to trail. And it's just an epic place to learn and an epic place to teach. So that's in Bentonville, Arkansas. That's, I think, the weekend of October 11th is our final camp of the year. There are still spots available. And then we get everything organized pretty much in October and November. We're starting to work on our next year's schedule because it's a lot. We go all over the country and have to get permits and permission and make sure the dates align with all these different places that also have events. So we will announce our dates usually in early January and then open registration end of January, beginning of February, so that people can just get ahead of the ball and set those goals to take a mountain bike camp in the summer.
Three final questions for you.
Okay.
I asked these same questions to you the last time you were on, but
Oh,
chances are they may have changed.
oh, I love this.
So the first question is, what bike or bikes do you ride?
I ride Live Bicycles. That is the sister company to Giant. And I'm very lucky. They have supported me for over a decade now. I love their bikes. I have a small cross country bike that's a Peak called a Peak. And then I have a mid travel bike that's called an Intrigue X. And then I'm lucky enough to also have more of a downhill bike called the Intrigue Long Travel Bike. So I'm super lucky and I'm really honored to be riding for Live. They are a brand by women for women. I think kind of one of the last
Yeah.
brands that really believes in speaking directly to women and giving women a safe space to ask questions and to learn about bikes. So I couldn't be partnered with a better brand. I just can't even imagine riding another bike.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Second question is, where is your favorite place you've ever ridden your bike?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think that's another one of the things I love so much about this sport is you can go to other, I'm in Colorado right now, but I'm based in Bend, Oregon. Talk about two very different worlds of riding. The Colorado high country is so beautiful and impossible to breathe. Bend is chill. And I love that added challenge. Um, but geez, I really love Sedona. That's one of my favorite camps to coach
Mhm,
at and places to ride because I really love chunky tech. I
mhm,
really love rocks and shelves and drops and having to get up big chunky lines.
mhm.
So I love Sedona. I love the East Coast. Massachusetts has one of the best bike parks I've ever been to called Thunder Mountain. That's a rad
I've
experience.
never
Bike
been.
parks are, oh, it's great. It's in Western Massachusetts. Downhill bike parks, we get to go to Whitefish, Montana and Grand Targhee, Wyoming. Doing a downhill camp is a really great way to hone in skills and repeat a trail where you start getting in the flow. So I love our downhill camps. I love everywhere I get to ride because it's all so different. But if I had to narrow it down to a place I would want to ride all the time, I really like chunky red rock like
Mhm.
Sedona and Moab. Can't beat it.
Final
Special.
final question is what is your favorite thing about riding your bike?
Oh man, there's so many things. That's really hard to break down into one thing. But if I had to summarize it in one thing, I think the overall health it brings into my life. It makes me feel good about myself. It brings confidence into my life. It reminds me that I'm strong and capable. It's brought the best friends I've ever had into my life. We look at each other like, are we crazy that we love this suffering up this hill and that we can barely talk because we're breathing so hard? Yes, we love this.
Mhm,
So I love the overall mental and physical and community, all of the things, having a mom die of Alzheimer's, you really think about how you're living your life. And they say that, what you put in your body, what you eat is so important. Surrounding yourself with community and staying active amongst your community is so important. Stimulating your brain. And I'm just like, yeah, I got all that covered with my mountain bike.
yeah.
So overall health and happiness is what I get from my bike.